Right, there we go. So, a little bit of fun we've had with our intros so far this season, and it'll still be getting worked on. Mine still just looks like generic bald guy. Jay's far too smiley. I like smart. I think smart is spot on, but you don't like it. So
It
I
doesn't,
think
does
that
it?
tells a story.
No, that's it. Cal looks like he should have a fedora on.
So, I am Gilly, and I'm host for this evening, and I am joined by my glamorous assistant Jay. How are we doing, Jay?
Mate, I'm absolutely knackered. My brain's not working. Yeah, I'm going to be useless on this, but I'll do my best.
Excellent, excellent. It's just like, just what we want to hear. We'll just get straight into it. So I think we're here to talk about the Newcastle game. I think that there were a bit of trepidation. I think coming into this one, we've gone out against Everton at home, and I thought we played really well. We got the result I think that we deserved. And I think we played Everton at a good time, because I don't know if you've seen them,
Oh, yeah.
but they look pretty good. So I think we played them at a good time. And I don't know if you saw the Newcastle game when they played Liverpool, and you're watching that and you're thinking, fucking hell, this is being played at 1,000 miles an hour. What on earth is going on here? But then they had injury issues. Obviously, they've got the Isak, whatever is going on there, issues going on, and you start thinking, oh, this might be a good time to play him.
Yeah.
But then you look at their midfield and you look at the players that they've got available, and even in the Liverpool game, the player that they brought on with their brand new £40 million signing, which is more than we've ever spent on any player in the history of our club, and you're thinking, yeah, it might still be difficult. So just before we get into the starting lineup, just how did you feel in the build up to the game? How was this one landing with you?
I was quite nervous about it, to be honest with you, because it felt like it were all just doom and gloom around the place after the last couple of matches. So I were quite worried that if we had a bad result again, it would just consolidate a pattern that we were not going to be able to get out of. And that was my main worry, to be honest with you. And with them being a good side, you just didn't know what to expect at all. And it's one of those where you're sort of hoping that being at Elland Road can get you over the line and help you get something. But on paper, it just looked like we were in for a really hard afternoon.
Yeah. And I think, they are a Champions League team. They are a team that wants to be pushing for silverware. They want to be right up there. And on balance, I think you can see that they've got quite. I mean, Bruno Guimaraes is a player. He's a baller. So if we come to the starting lineup, then we're looking at what we have. So let's start in the midfield then. So Longstaff against his previous club. Stash, who I think we all think, we've signed a good player there. And then Gruev, that I were looking at against Arsenal, and I'm thinking, that's a bit of a worry. And I'm thinking, if Bruno's pushing up on him, there were a question mark over whether Tonali would start because he hurt his shoulder against Liverpool, so I'm looking at that matchup and I'm thinking, if Gruev just gets run over by Bruno, they could really set themselves a platform there. So let's start with the midfield. Would you have done anything different in midfield?
It's hard to see what we could have done different in midfield, really. Unless you're going to put Beal in there, which keeps getting mentioned, which is not something I really want because he's meant to be here to start at centre-back. So that's where I'd like to see him. But I don't think we had a lot of options with the injuries and stuff. I think that were the team that we had to put out, at least the midfield part of it anyway. But they all did well. Gruev had a decent game. He wasn't quite as good as the other two, but he did play a killer pass for Nonto that got us on a nice attack, got us into the box. And he did a good job for me. They've got him as a 7.2 on FOTMob, and I'd say that's pretty accurate, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. And SofaScore's got 7.1, so that's reasonably consistent. The YEP gave him 6. And I thought that was a little bit harsh. Now
they've got an agenda.
I'm still concerned about the levels he can play at, especially in a sustained fashion. But to play against the midfield like Bruno and Tonali and not look totally out of place, he was an important part of our setup, wasn't he? So 6 were a bit harsh. I do have longer term concerns, but on the day I thought you were fine.
I agree with that.
So let's move a bit further forward then. Pirro, our probable biggest goal threat, passed over for Nmecha. Right or wrong on that?
I think right. And, we came out of the game with a result, didn't we? So it's hard to say that anything was wrong in that regard.
We didn't score a goal,
guy. No, I know, and that's the worry. But there was a guy next to me and he's saying, "Oh, I reckon this is beginning of the end for Pirro if he's not getting picked, now." And it could be. And it's weird because, like you say, he is our biggest goal threat, sort of on paper and statistically, but he has looked a little bit out of his depth so far at this level, and it's I think he's somebody who's more bringing him on in a game where you're on top and he's going to get opportunities and a little bit of time to play his game. Then he may do something for you, but in a game where you need him to be pressing from the front and stuff like that, I think at this level he's struggling with that. I'm not sure he's quite mobile enough. Like Nmecha is far more mobile than Pirro, but then when Calvert-Lewin came on, he looked different to any of them. He looked a step up. Like the positions he were getting in were fantastic. So, when you go through that pecking order there, Pirro's the third one out of those three for me at this point now. And that's just a sad reality. He'll get his chance again, I'm sure, but he's going to have to take it if he does.
Yeah, and if you look in midfield, all right. So we've just had the question here from Skip. I don't know how long an MCL injury lasts, but if all players are available for Fulham game, who would you play in the middle? Ampadu start, Lonsaf, Tanaka. And that's a fair question. I think potentially Ampadu could be back. I think Tanaka, having got his injury slightly later, albeit it should be around the same amount of time out, it might not be quite ready. Maybe not put the fitness work in to be ready for the game. Yeah. But that in itself just shows that injuries are going to happen over the course of the season. So the fact that we've got actually 3 options up front, plus Harry Gray as an extra from the youth set, which is actually what you should be doing, is bringing the youth through so that they can be that extra person that can fill in every now and
get the odd minute here and there and a bit of experience, and they'll be around the first team squad, and that'll help them, stand them in good stead going forward.
Exactly. So I think you're right. Looking back, although we didn't score a goal, I think if you look at the way that Cher and Byrne play football and the giants that they are, Pirro had just been hounded out of the game.
I think so.
And if you look at the balance of the Arsenal game, it was. And if you look at the balance of the Arsenal game and the centre backs that they've got, Pirro didn't get a sniff. And Nmecha just puts himself about in a way that Pirro doesn't. So I think it was the right choice as well. And I think, again, when I was saying about that, Bruno against Gruev as a matchup could give them a platform. Actually, Nmecha being able to win the ball high up the pitch and being able to go for those long throws that Perry's got. I mean, they are insane throws, but
they're crazy.
Just to be at a challenge, often Pirro sees the ball coming towards him, looks like he's going to challenge for it, and then doesn't even jump. It's so frustrating to watch.
Yeah, Mecha's strong, and he can back into a defender, and he can hold his ground, and he can, like you say, challenge for it. It's not just a lost ball that's never going to be won. Like, there's actually a chance that we might get it.
Yeah,
makes a difference.
Having said that, I think that it will depend a lot on what our opposition is and who it is that we're playing against. I think when we're going to be playing against Burnley, Sunderland, Everton we'd already seen, Wolves, West Ham, it might be that there's an expectation there that we'll get more of the ball. We're not playing against glittering Champions League opposition at that point. We'll get a bit more of the ball, and therefore we'll be able to play it into the channels and round the back for Pirro to hopefully get a chance. Yeah. It still, for me, looks like the most likely to take a chance if it falls to him, albeit I was quite impressed by DCL. I've looked at him coming in and I'm thinking, he's more like Nemecha than he is like Pirot. He's going to get around. He's going to get into good positions. Is he going to finish them more often than not? Maybe not. Where a Pirot he's going to finish more chances, but you've got to actually create them and be in the positions and be able to take advantage of the setups as well. So there's a lot to consider there, I think. And so if we just I think they'll all get the chances over the course of the season. I think you're right.
You're right though, like you say, like the opposition would play, because when DCL came on, he changed the entire shape of the attack, like the way we were moving going forward and stuff. So there's a massive tactical element in there between him and Mecha, like the differences, the different ways you can play with them.
Yeah. So it'd be an interesting one. So either side of them then. So we started with Nonto and DJ on the wings. Personally, I thought that DJ had a real quiet game, but we're still not playing to his strengths. His strength is his pace. I don't think he's only pace. I think he's got more to his game than that, but his strength is pace.
Yeah, I do.
And a lot of the time, we're getting the ball out to him, but he's got to stop to receive it. And that's got to be frustrating for him. We're not getting him into the game in the positions that he needs to be in. There were only one where we tried to release him in a position where he could genuinely run onto the ball, and it just went out before he got to it. It would have ball down the line.
I remember that one.
So I think he's probably getting frustrating. But I thought Nonto played well on the other.
Yeah, flank. He did. Yeah, again.
Yeah. So position-wise, options that we've got on the wings. Again, thinking fair shouts on those starts.
I think James looks off it personally, and I would play somebody else for a game or two and see if it works any better. You make a valid point in like we're not playing to his strengths, so it's like we're not really setting him up to succeed if you look at it like that. But why aren't we playing to his strengths? Is it because the players are just not pulling it off, or is it because our tactical direction now is different and Farke doesn't want to use him that way? In which case, why is he there if we're not doing that? So like something's not quite right there, whether it's him or whether it's what we're doing. But that all sort of combined together makes me want to play somebody else there for the next game and just see if it works any better. I just feel like he's not really made much of a contribution so far, and that that makes me sad because I like DJ. I think we all do.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's also that bit of if you look at the alternatives, Okafor's still going to be getting up to speed because it's unlikely he's had much of a pre-season, knowing that he was going to be moving on, and so I think in that sort of respect, it might be just we're playing the ones that are most sharp, that look sharpest in training or whatever else. But if somebody else ups their game or gets their sharpness to where they should be, we've got a bit of a layoff now, and actually even when we come back, it's a couple of away games which you might think we will use Dan James because that's important when we're playing away from home because we need that pace. We need to be able to carry that break. Yeah. And they are still worried about his pace. They do, they do try and manage that in a particular way, which kind of changes the dynamic of the defensive setup for them. I think maybe what we'll see is an intent of, if it's Okafor that's going to come in, if he plays on left, Nonto on the right, whatever that looks like, I think that the biggest indication as to what Farke will prefer will be the next home game. I do think it's a bit of a weapon when we're away from home is his pace.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, like you say, because the home games are the ones where you expect to put your strongest side out and try and impose your style on the opposition. So yeah, who he picks for that game will sort of tell us what direction we're going in long term, I think. And it's nice to have an international break where we're actually happy to see it. It's a good time to have a little break and just get everybody back together, get everyone fit, and be able to say, look, we got arseholed by Arsenal. We got schooled by a bunch of kids. But we've come back and we've gone and got a point against a really good Champions League side. And, that's something you can build on. That's something the manager can use in that couple of weeks.
I started something that Smarty said in the comments here, which I quite liked. Doom and gloom understandable after getting arseholed by Arsenal and getting bettered by sperms at Hillsborough. You can't
he's not
argue it,
wrong.
can you? You
Not
just
wrong.
can't argue it. Okay. So fullbacks then, pretty much pick themselves, don't they?
Yeah, at this point, yeah. How good is Goodmanson?
He is. He's really good. I like watching him. It's so
Oh,
refreshing
brilliant.
seeing a fullback that actually plays the game properly for us.
But do you see how often though he's calling for the ball? He's got his arms up. He's like, "Give it to me." He don't go missing. He don't hide. And we've got like a nice sort of little thing going where we've got these little passing triangles moving down the sort of the left wing now. And he's a big part of that. And he's calm. He doesn't panic when he gets closed down and stuff. And he battles to win it back as well. I think he's really, really good.
Agreed. No, I like watching him play football, and he gets forward as well, doesn't he? You know, he might not quite be the false three that Firpo was, but his all-round game, I think, is better. You know, I still have
big time.
I love Firpo, but he's a cult
We
hero
all do.
rather than being a perfect left back. I still have PTSD from his time in the Premier League.
Me too. That's something that like gets me when people say, "Oh, you know why Leeds didn't need to get him? They could have kept Firpo because he was quality." It's like not at this level though. He's he gave us his all last couple of seasons. It's been great, and it's cemented him, as you say, like a cult hero. But we've seen this level with him before. He wasn't there, and nobody wants to remember him as the guy that got turned inside out every week in Premier League. It's nicer to remember him as a promotion hero.
Agreed. So come on to the centre backs then. Rodon starts every game he's available for. Strike over Biol. Is that because otherwise who would have been captain?
I think there's a strong possibility of that. That and maybe Farke felt that they needed a chance to go back out and redeem themselves. I don't know. I would have preferred Biol, but I did think Strike played a decent game, at least by his standard.
Yeah, the one bit that sticks out for me is that when he actually missed a header, but I think if he'd have got it, he'd have scored an own goal. Did you see that?
Probably meant to do it then.
You.
I can't even remember, to be honest with you. I can only remember little bits of it at this point. I will say, just sidetracking slightly, I had a quick scan of the highlights before, as I always do, to sort of jog my memory a little bit. And I watched 2 sets of them. And one was the LUTV ones, which were great. Showed all our attacking through the first half and everything. One was the Sky one, where the first 3 or 4 highlights, taking us right through to second half, were all Newcastle attacks on us. And they made it look like we got absolutely hammered and we were clinging on. And it really angered me. I thought, them Sky bastards. It were completely cut to make us look like we were just at the Alamo up against it. Fucking Dunkirk. Do you know what I mean? And then you watch the proper highlights and you see that we were in that game. We were matching them for large parts of it. And at times we were better than them.
But I think, and we will come on to it a bit more. So and then just look at the keeper. You know, picks himself. Not going to pick Cairns. Not going to pick Melier yet.
He's fucking mad though, isn't he? He's absolutely crackers. We said it before. It's that keepers and drummers. They're all mad.
Yeah,
but his throws.
Maybe it's just because the furthest back. You know, the drummer's always at the back of the stage. The keeper's at the back. Just furthest away from the action. He's just a little bit.
Yeah, they get left to their own thoughts a bit more. That must be what it is, you know. Yeah, I think
have to listen to their own inner monologue and it drives them crazy.
But yeah, I like Perry. I thought overall he had a really good game. He made some amazing saves.
He did make some good saves.
Saved one at his near post, and I turned to the guy next to me and said, "That'd got in with Melier, that near post. That's his nemesis."
And Darlow.
So, yeah. So
Darlow would have scored it himself.
No. So it's refreshing to see a keeper that can make saves like that, and I found it interesting as well.
Catches it as well. Everything.
He saved one where he dived, and it looked like it would have been easier to save it with his hand, but he used that one.
Yeah,
and he still got it. It was
kids are taught not to do that, aren't they? Because I think the thing that I'd seen was if you go with that hand, you can't then extend a little bit further if you miss it. Whereas if you go with this one, you can then extend a bit further.
Okay, that makes sense.
It does. So they're taught not to do that, but he did do that. But he did it to good effect, so it's fine.
Well, he's elite and he can do what he wants.
Exactly. He's earned the right, hasn't he? Well, I was just about to say, let's have a look at his distribution though, because against Arsenal we saw that ball out to Bogle that got Bogle booked. You know, his distribution, his throws are brilliant.
They're amazing.
But his kicks,
they're a little bit melee, aren't they? His kicks.
And he wants a long time on the ball as well. And at some point, we're going to come unstuck there.
He's going to have to learn quickly about that. Otherwise, he's going to get robbed a few times and end up on one of them highlights compilations for the rest of his career. Nobody wants that.
No, agreed. But he does look at he does have a little bit Mad Monk from Mean Machine, doesn't he?
Oh, he's like a bit of a grobbler. He's just crackers.
Yeah. Like you say, a lot of them are. A lot of them are. Okay, so starting lineup, we think not much choice other than centre back and centre forward, and we think that on balance, especially with hindsight, played well enough to make this election a valid one.
Yeah.
So let's come on to the passage of players and so on. I'm going to just pop up my favourite graph, just as we're talking about this. So you're talking yourself about the highlights and what it looks like, and in certain circumstances, Newcastle look like they had all of the play, but I think more. You could argue there's more peaks or bigger peaks for Newcastle than there is Leeds in that, but very much 2 real periods of sustained pressure with good attacking intent there in the first half, at least for Leeds.
It's a good even spread, and we finished the game strong as well. So when you're battling, as we keep saying, the Champions League team, their fitness should be like off the charts for those players. They're elite players. So for our lads to be, taking charge of the match at the end like that's encouraging to me. That says a lot, and I don't think we ever gave up trying to win that game, and I love that. I love the fact that we were trying to win that game. We didn't set up for a draw. We set up to be solid, but try and create opportunities. Yeah, and I'm cool with that. I'm all right playing that way.
Yeah. No, I think that's right, and I think the fact that we kept ourselves in the game, and we're in that position where what you don't want to do is concede early on, and then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, you're up against it, then, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. I wrote a bit of an article before the game, and I was saying, we need to set ourselves up for success, and that is keep it tight, don't give anything away, don't make any significant mistakes that allows them in, and then you can grow into the game as you go forward. And I think I think that's something that we did really well. And
I think so. Yeah, it's cliche, but it's right.
Yeah. But the longer you stay in the game, the more your confidence can grow over the fact that we're not getting battered here. As Smarty said, there's a reason that people felt, a bit trepidatious before this game, because why wouldn't you, having been beat by under 21s and absolutely battered in the game before it? So I think
they want a youth team. Barry Bannon played 9 minutes.
So I think that you make a really good point. So I mean, let's fast forward. I left the ground and I were walking back to my car, and I were walking behind 2 Geordie fans, and they were like, "We could have been playing 2 weeks and nobody scored a goal." Now
we benefited a lot from Isaac not playing.
Well, yeah, and I think very much so. I think we know. I don't think there's a Leeds fan that exists that thinks our attacking lineup is a finished article. I think everybody thinks probably we need a 10, although it looks like we're not really playing with a 10. We're playing 3 in midfield and 3 up front. 2 wingers and a forward. So less intent there for a 10. It would be nice to have the flexibility, right? But we really, really need a 9, an actual goal threat that we can spend some money on, that's tricky, that's fast, run the channels, and be a genuine goal threat. And I think that I'm leaving the game and I'm thinking, so I was listening to that and I was thinking 2 things. The first off is it did look like 2 sides that are missing a striker. They're missing their main, and we feel like we need our main.
Yeah.
But on the other side to it, I felt like there was, and this is the point you were making, I think, at the end, it felt like we were the only one trying to win the game.
Yeah, it did.
So, them saying we could have been playing for another 2 weeks and not scored a goal, I think if we'd have played for another 10 minutes, we win that.
I think so too. I think we got on top of them at the end there, as the graph shows. We did. Yeah. But yeah, it felt positive the whole day. Like, there were never a point in the game where you were shitting yourself thinking we're going to get hammered here and we're not going to push to get back or anything like that. You were watching it and looking at a team trying to play pretty solidly, but whenever there were an opportunity, they were trying to get forward and they were trying to attack. And I love that against a good side like Newcastle. It were like the complete opposite of showing too much respect, like we did to Arsenal. We were just like, we're at home. This is our gaff. They're coming here. We're gonna go at them, show them what we're about. And I love that. I love it. I'm all for it.
And that is key, isn't it? Our home form's going to be absolutely crucial this season.
That's where we must be looking at most of the wins coming.
Yeah, it's where we'll get our points. Okay, so we've touched on the starting lineup and a bit of the balance of the game. So I'm going to come to you now and ask you a question. So we made some changes.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Jack Harrison.
I think I've mentally blocked him out. I can't remember anything that he did, but I've seen loads of people saying he were really good.
Okay, so I'll give you my view because I would this season, especially at the start of the season, it's pretty much get a ticket where you can. So I was in the northwest corner, which actually meant that most of what he did was right in front of me. He worked hard, which I think you expect from him. You're going to get
we've said that before. Like everyone's like losing the shit about Ramazani getting sent on loan, and I wasn't happy about it. I'm not saying that I am, but it's the work rate that Farke's kept Harrison for, because he knows in more games we'll be up against it than we will be on top.
Yeah, and he will work back. I think there were one time that he looked like he'd been caught out, but actually when I played it back in my mind, he was screaming at Stash to pick up one man so that he could get the other. And Stash went towards the other man, and that meant that one had been left, that Harrison had kind of been left isolated, and he was trying to cut off a pass. The pass went inside instead of down the wing, and then he looked like he'd been caught out, whereas he was trying to manage that situation. So I think that's just a little bit of teammates getting to know each other. It's early in the season. We're going to get a bit of that,
isn't there?
He closed down well.
He's as much of a new signing as the others are, effectively.
Yeah. But he closed down well. He got forward well, I thought. But if you think that we brought on a fullback, I'm hoping that Goodmanton's not actually hurt, and that it was just a little bit of a knock or a bit of cramp or something late on. So we were able to bring on a debutant, but that needed Harrison to give him that bit of cover just so that nothing went wrong on debut. You really needed that.
Yeah, you don't want that, do you? You don't want a guy starting on a bum.
Exactly. And if something goes wrong at that point,
give him stick.
Yeah, but if something goes wrong at that point and you end up losing it 1-0 or having played really well, then although you've played really well and that were important, you've lost an important point at home. So I think it was important to get that cover in front of him as well. But so I thought he did all right. He didn't pull up any trees, but there were a couple of half chances, a couple of flash crosses across, and one ended up with DCL and just went wide. Okay, so I don't know if you remember this one then. So I'll touch on the other side. Okay. Aronson came on as well. My heart sank.
Oh, me too.
But he came on. Talk to me about him.
Yeah, I remember now because they came on together, didn't they? And I was just like, what's going on here? What is happening? What is happening? Yeah, I do. You've brought that back to me now, vividly. Oh, good God. I can't stand him. I can't stand him. I don't care anymore. I don't want him. He were crap.
So we all know how I feel about him. I will say one thing. Because most of the time the ball goes to him and it's where attacks go to die. It just is. He'll turn back. He'll pass it backwards when he had a chance to go forwards. Whatever.
Yeah,
he's not good enough at this level. I don't think there's any getting away from that. A lot of people say Harrison and Arrington aren't good enough. I think that's two very different things, and I think there's a solid 7 in Harrison most weeks. Sometimes you'll get a 10, sometimes you'll get a 5, but on average, it's pretty good. And he definitely does sometimes put in a real top performance. Arrington's a 4 or 5 every week. However, there were one chance at the Cop end where he danced around 3 people. Now it were all a little bit.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. The guy that played up front for Derby were all arms and legs, looked like a spider. Paulo Wanchop. Yeah. he was a player that was really difficult to defend against. Yeah. He's like a spider on roller skates. Didn't know what his limbs were all doing. He were really difficult to defend against because you didn't know what he were going to do because neither did he.
Yeah.
He kind of just with a little bit of chaos and then something happened. It seemed like a little bit of that in as much as he had the ball at his feet and all of a sudden he'd gone round one and then he'd done another and then he'd done another. And then Bogle did the same and he went round a few and you're thinking, fucking hell, somebody finish it off, please. And it didn't happen. So there was a period of about 15 seconds when he looked like a footballer. He's as much as positivity as I can give him, which is more than normal.
That is more than normal.
Yeah. But you know, I think there's I think there's a potential that Harrison will turn things around. I think that you know, were there any boos around you? Did you boo?
No, I didn't. I never do for stuff like that. It's not me. It's not my way. I'd rather come on here and slag them off than do it instead. I just don't think you should. I don't think you should like lower the tone and everyone's mood and all that. You know, especially when we're battling for a point. But no, I think some people did. But I don't think it was widespread. I don't think it was like a big chunk.
Yeah. Okay. So I heard some, but they were not actually around me.
There were a few, like I say.
In the northwest corner, it's a little bit like being at Craven Cottage. You know, last time we were there at half time, the
Michael Jackson statue
came out, and there's no Michael Jackson statue, and there's no was it Al Fayed that had one as well? But you know that bit when they get a Victoria sponge out at half time and all of that.
Oh yeah.
And cheese and crackers at Fulham.
It
genuinely was a Victoria sponge came out last time I was sat in
Never.
there. And the thermoses and stuff, they're handing it out. And I was
How old were these
on
people?
Earth am I come? 60s, 70s. You know, they've been going a long time, and they're just like the home comforts, I think. But it was a cold night, and they had the thermoses, and they just wanted a cuppa and a slice of cake. Fine, whatever.
No problem with
that. But so in there, it's quite nice. Everybody sits down, other than the prick in front of me that had a pogo up his arse. Now. The thing that really, right, so I'm going to get my soapbox a little bit about this. I want to stand up at football. I don't want to sit down at football. It does my tits in. I want to stand up throughout the entire game. That said, when I'm in northwest corner, when you're in west stand, when you're in east stand, you can't stand up through the whole game. You know that before you go.
Yeah.
What really pisses me off is the gadge in front of me being off his seat every single time he got the fucking ball, so I couldn't see anything, knowing that the people behind me aren't going to see anything if I get up. Like, mate, will you sit the foot? But I don't want to sit down.
You either suffer or
everybody
you be
to stand
up.
Yeah. I wanted everybody to stand up because I want everybody to stand up.
Yeah.
But when you're in the stands that there's no standing up in, it's like it's the opposite of being in the cheese where it's always stood up until it's a cup game, and then there's day trippers that come in there and they all want to sit down. And you're like, no, you stand up in here. You don't know. You stand up in here. Where were you when we were milk?
Get with the program, guys. There's no sitting down.
So yeah, I mean that aside, so yeah, it's quite nice in there. It's an all right atmosphere. There's not much singing goes on, but there's definitely, you know, it's not an area of the ground that you're going to get booing for players and whatever else. So you know, we spoke about them, and we've kind of mentioned him. Step up to him. He weighed about as much as Aronson. It felt like bullying, like kicking a puppy.
Flicked him and he goes floating over stands.
Yeah. So just on the if we just stick with the changes then. So
yeah,
we have mentioned him but not gone into any level of detail. DCL, talk to me.
Really impressed with him so far. He's missed a few chances, but as I've said to a few people, he's had no pre-season. He's not played football for about 4 months, effectively. And he's not had full games. He's just had a few cameos. He's not going to be sharp yet. He's not going to be there. But he's really, the runs and stuff that he makes, the movement, the way he's reading the attacks and the positioning and stuff like that, all spot on for me so far. So I can't see how he's not going to score some goals unless his feet are broken. Because he's getting in the right places. So when he gets his sharpness, he should be banging them in with the chances that we've been creating for him.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
were
I
getting a
would
lot
agree.
of we were getting a lot
No,
of
you're right.
balls like crossed right across the goal as well against Newcastle, and that were nice to see. We're doing that a lot, and
Yeah.
if we got a fit DCL who can get a foot on, just slide in or stick a foot out and just turn it in, as we've seen him do before, then we could score a fair few goals through the tactics that we're using now. If we just get it right and we're patient, it could work.
Yeah, and he does seem that sort of player, doesn't he? He is one that'll throw himself at it and whatever
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
You know, he'll do what he can to get a touch on it, rather than Pirro that wants everything under control. And he's not that
Yeah.
sort of blood and thunder sort of player. Whereas DCL, I think, has got a little bit of a different balance to him, hasn't he? I think you're
Yeah, I
right.
think so. Very different type of striker to Pirro.
And then Justin, fullback, come on, last 10 minutes. Well, we had quite a bit of injury time, didn't we? But yeah, come on, 80 minutes. Hopefully Goodmanson's okay, but didn't do much wrong.
Yeah, I don't recall him really doing much at all, but none of it was bad. So you can't really argue. They give him a 5.9, which
He wasn't
I
on
don't
for very long
understand
though,
that.
was he? It's
I know,
difficult to
but
give a score.
surely you start off on a 6, and you got to do something wrong to get less than that. But yeah,
So when Graham does it, he starts at a 5 and he goes up from there or down from there.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I suppose it's just not my way.
Yeah. So I think Herbert's agreeing with you as well here. DCL was a yard shy of one of those cross goal balls. Give him a month.
That's it. He'll have his toe on the end of some of them.
Yeah. So no, that's good. I'm just going to spin through a couple of comments and then we'll come back. We'll come back to them. And we'll speak about them. So Paul Brennan says Sean Longstaff outstanding against his old team who he supports. I didn't know you were a supporter of him either. He's man of the match.
Yeah,
Old school midfielder. Yeah, I didn't realise that. Give 100%. Side self every time. Player knows how to tackle properly. He did put in some meaty ones, didn't he? That was nice to see.
He did, yeah. He's probably been gagging for his chance to get at him.
Yeah, he will. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think he relished it. I think he's a player that relished playing against the lads that he'd played with, didn't he?
Do you think if we'd had the injuries that he would have still started the game because it's his old team?
I think if you've got a fit and fire in Ampadu and Tanaka, no. Because I don't think Stash gets dropped. But I think if Ampadu and Tanaka are playing well, Longstaff probably doesn't start. No. However, I think if he's looking sharp in training and one of those others is out, I think it's him that comes in rather than Gruev. I know that Farker rates Gruev, but I think it'd be Longstaff that came in. So that'll be an interesting one. If it is Ampadu that comes back earlier than Tanaka, just because he started his rehab earlier, just because Tanaka was injured slightly later, it will be interesting if one of those drops out, who it is.
I think
because I suspect it will be Gruev.
Yeah, I think he puts Ampadu back in for Gruev, but he doesn't make any other changes. Like Tanaka will have to wait his turn.
Yeah, maybe so. Coleslaw and Toast makes a really good point. Harvey Barnes not scoring change.
that were great. It was nice to break that little record, wasn't it? Because I'm sick of that guy. Yeah, I groaned when I heard that they were coming on. I thought, oh God,
100%. The entire ground did.
It's not the man you want to see coming on at 0-0 when you think, oh, we're going to get a point here, we're going to get something, and then Harvey fucking Barnes. Oh God, here we go for his annual goal against Leeds.
Exactly. So because we had this debate at the match. I don't know. Do you remember a guy called Craig McHale Smith?
Yes.
I think he played for Town. He played for Brighton.
Yes.
He looked like a world beater every time he played us, but whenever you looked at his goal scoring stats, he'd get 4 or 5 goals a season. It's just that 2 or 3 of them were
against us. Yeah.
I don't know how good Harvey Barnes is or how good he is at playing against Leeds. I think there's 2 different things there.
Yeah, it's 2 separate players, honestly. It's got a split personality and one of them comes out against us. Maybe he's had some meds and that's why it didn't come out this time. Maybe he's just back to being normal old Harvey.
Okay. Blaze Dre, speaking of, Blaze Dre says, a draw against them after how they looked at Liverpool couldn't ask for much more. They did look well. They played well against Liverpool. They were very unlucky not to get a result out of that because Liverpool boxed it right at the end.
It's funny because
and they only had 10 men, didn't they?
Yeah. In that game, they looked like a really solid, good unit, a good team. But against us, I was stood there watching it thinking, individually, they have got better players than us, but we are playing as a better team than they are. We're a better unit there. So I would worry about that after that Liverpool game.
Yeah, I would as well. And I would agree with that. But Tonali probably wasn't 100%. As I said, he hurt his shoulder against Liverpool. So maybe not 100%. Gordon probably makes a difference on the night. I don't like him. He looks like Princess Di. That's not why I don't like him. But and I suspect that they're going to spend big. Whether Isak comes back into the fold or not, it looks like I think the move is on now, and it's going to be a mega money move. Yeah, it looks like it. Which I find distasteful because I wanted Newcastle to win that. I wanted them to say no.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Into it.
I wanted to see Liverpool told to get lost.
Yeah. But and just imagine. I mean, they already look so good up front. Bringing Isak into that as well that's the stuff of nightmares for everybody else. Everybody else is looking at that wanting Newcastle to win that argument as well. Yeah. So yeah, they didn't have Gordon and they didn't have Isak, and Tonali probably wasn't at full fitness, and various different other aspects. But yeah, they did have Share back, and they still have a very good a good lineup. So, but I think
we
Gordon
had injuries too, Gilly. So
absolutely,
it's not like it's not like they were weakened and we weren't. Both teams had it. That's football.
Yeah, agreed. Like I said, I think it was just
did.
a good time to play him more than anything else.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So, but yeah, they did look well in that game. Coleslaw and Toast again had no complaints about starting lineup for us. Longstaff was immense, and think it helped make Gruev better. That was the point that I'd started this for. Just to comment on that is Longstaff's experience might have helped Gruev. Longstaff did play well, but is also a bit of a leader in there, and Stack I think is already that anyway. So we mentioned about did Stroik start because he was skipper on the night. He's not a vocal leader, is he? He's not that sort of player.
Not really, no. Not really.
I don't know if you noticed, but you could see Longstaff talking to Gruev quite a lot, and Stack does the same anyway. So I think that I think Coleslaw's made a really good point there. By the way, I would never ever have coleslaw on toast. That sounds disgusting.
Oh, me neither. I thought that. It's not right that. But I don't like coleslaw, so I won't eat it on anything. To be fair.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's
a point for me.
Glenn Hodgson says, sorry. So I'll give a shout out to Glenn again. He 3 or 4 times wanted to track us down to buy us a beer. The one time he did track me down was in the celebration of promotion.
Oh, right.
Or was it actually celebrating winning the league? I think it was the promotion. No, it was winning the league. But the Peacock had run out of beer. So he wanted to buy me a beer, but they didn't even have any.
You just can't win some days, can you?
Yeah. But Glenn says, sorry if you said, but heard one outlet rated him at 3 out of 10. Thoughts? I mean, that's just outrageous. For battling alone, surely it's much, much greater than that.
Was it a Newcastle outlet? Because that's outrageous.
I think it is.
The guy didn't do anything wrong, so how could he get a 3?
Yeah.
How do you go into negatives? I don't. Yeah, piss off. I really liked him the way he held up and the way he backed into defenders, and he stayed strong and he was challenging.
And bought fouls.
And he got fouls.
When I say bought fouls, I don't mean cheated and dived. I mean earned them through being strong and making them try to win the ball by fouling him. I thought he did well. Mike Cat 23 says, I have a feeling we get 2 or 3 players tomorrow, but we'll let 3 go, and it could include a big name.
Ooh.
I mean,
let's hope not.
Well, we'll get into this more of it in a main pod, I guess. But out of the squad that we've got, which 3 could you see going where only one of them would be a big name? We've not got a massive squad now, have we?
No, I don't even know who we could get rid of.
I mean, I can't see it being Byram.
It's not going to be Byram.
And it's not going to be any of the so if you think of the defenders, none of them can go because we haven't got any cover.
Could be Melier.
Yeah, Melier. I would say that's not a big name.
Yeah, it's a sort of big name, but it's not somebody that you're going to be asked.
It's not somebody who's going to play, is it? If you're playing Melier, it's because something's gone wrong.
Yeah, something's gone very wrong.
Yeah, I would have been all right seeing Gruev go. But with no cover now, so I can't see that happening.
No.
So
That'd be
it's
negligent at this
interesting.
point.
But if you do bring in somebody that is a very, very good midfielder and they'll
Oh,
play
yeah,
alongside
yeah.
that Tanaka, Ampadu, what have you, then it depends which three come in, I suppose, as to which ones could go.
Yeah, that's it. I don't see 3 going. And if we do sign players, if they're under 21s, then they don't take a squad space anyway. So
Yeah,
we can sign
correct.
them regardless. I mean,
So
that
I
must
think
be
the
what
only
Chelsea do,
one,
because they must have about 60 players at this point.
well, yeah, but the only one for me that could be a big name that could go, because I don't think Nonto goes, I don't think James goes. Okafor, we've only just signed. You know, I'm not. And Harrison, I think Farker's kind of set his stall out. Why would he have brought him into the fold and have to deal with all of the shit if only he were going to go anyway? So I can't see that being a dynamic that then he goes. Ramazani's already gone. The only one I could see is if you bring in somebody that's a genuine goal threat and mobile and fast and runs a channel is potentially Pirro.
Yeah.
We've only just signed DCL, so he goes
I
nowhere.
could see
Nemecha
that.
doesn't go anywhere.
It'd be a strange one, wouldn't it? But you could see a team like Sheffield United desperate for a player like him, what season they're having. Do you know what I mean?
It's pretty much guaranteed goals at that level.
Yeah. Whether he'd want to go somewhere like that, who knows? But yeah, it would seem odd that he's been so good for us numbers wise, and for him to then be the first one that you like, well, he can go. It doesn't seem right, does it? But from a looking at the balance of the squad and being realistic, it looks like if somebody did go, I can't even speak. If somebody did go, it would kind of fit for it to be him.
Yeah.
When we're talking about attacking incomings and stuff, not going to sell the new signings.
Exactly that. That's the only reason I'm saying him is because Nemecha and DCL aren't going anywhere because we have only just signed them. So no, fairs. Watch this space, I suppose, on that one.
Fuck off, Dr. Cox. No, Sergeant for Pirro.
Why would we downgrade?
Are you winding me up?
Might as well just play Aronson up front because Sargent's just
Might as well let me play.
Well, no, Aronson and Sargent are basically the same individual. Have you ever seen them in a room together?
No. That's why only one of them can be picked for US.
Herbert says his hair was fabulous. I think that might be about Jack Harrison. It could have been about yours, but you've Samsoned yourself, haven't you? Yours has gone now.
It's gone, yeah.
And just the last comment I'd start is Sly 2.0 says, too much recency bias on Aronson. Now, I've started this because I don't know what he means. Because we were saying he was shit, and when we were last in the Premier League, he was the worst player in the division. So, what's the recency bit? I don't understand.
Maybe he means other people are saying he's all right now because they
haven't seen enough of him recently.
Maybe, I don't know. But anyone that watched him in the Premier League last time knows that this guy ain't going anywhere for us. He's not going to do anything.
Yeah. So that was an interesting one.
Just a body to throw on and run around.
Didn't really know what that one meant, but I mean, he is somebody that's going to work hard, but just not good enough. So, okay. So let's touch upon them then. Just before we wrap up, looking at their starting lineup, you know, not including players like Isak, not including Sargent is Aronson with sunburn. So if you think the players that we saw play against us last night, who do you take out of their lineup?
I don't know actually, because I'm one of these people where I get sentimental over his own players, and I feel bad like shifting somebody out for somebody else. But I wouldn't mind Tonali. I won't mind Gimaresh, obviously. Ramsey's pretty good, but not seen enough of him yet. But that's probably it for me, to be fair. Maybe Botman.
Yeah.
But it's because I don't want to replace people in our team, so I like them. So I'm a bit reluctant to pick anyone. But those are the main ones out of that side we played. I didn't reckon much to that Asula.
No, he didn't do much, did he? He did not do much.
He had that chance, didn't he, that Goodmanson blocked, but after that, he didn't really do well. Really, that
actually, this tells you everything that you need to know about Sargent. Actually, because I've only just seen this comment. Is Joe Wainman loves Sargent? That's the only argument you need against signing him. Is Joe Wainman rates him.
You leave Joe alone. Just gets excited.
After the celebrating he did after he stole the Creators Cup, now he can bollocks.
Yeah, well, yeah, there is that. I've not considered that. Fuck him.
For me, it's Guimaraes. I think he's an absolute baller, and I think he's got everything to
quality.
be the modern day midfielder. He's got a good touch. He's got the positional and spatial awareness. He's got a good passing range. He's strong. He even gets goals. So I think for me, he'd be the one that I'd look to take out of the starting lineup if I were going to take any of them. However, we played against them and didn't get beat by a Champions League side. So horses for courses and all of that sort of stuff. But I felt quite proud of our team because it would have been easy for them to go into the shell a little bit, and I didn't feel like they did.
Big time. They could have gone out there with a negative mentality from the off after the last couple of games, thinking, "Oh God, here we go again. We're up against it here." They didn't look like that at all. So whether that's down to their mentality, whether it's down to Farker's coaching, whatever it is, it's working. It'll do for me. And I'm really happy to see them go out there positive like that after those games, because it would have been so easy to let your heads drop and just think, "Fuck, we're out of his depth here. We're in trouble."
Yeah. No, that's fair. Okay, so last question then, just while I try and find something in our Twitter chat comments, is I want you to give me a man of the match, please.
Ooh, I'm not actually sure who I would pick. I'd probably be between Bogle and Goodmanson for me, because I thought they were both great throughout. But also Longstaff was really good. And I liked Nono too, but he wasn't quite as good as them. Let's go with Bogle for me. I thought he was really good. I thought he got forward a lot. He created a lot. He battled to, create chances and things. And yeah, he had a good game for me. He never really looked like out of place or got left on his ass or anything. And I said to someone next to me as well, I said, the Bogle we're seeing now is twice the player that played in the Premier League last time for Sheffield United. He's grown massively. He might not be the best in the world, but he is a very solid, good, reliable wing back, right back, at this level now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it gives us so much balance now. The fact that we found Goodmanson, the fact that they can both defend and both get forward and they both want the ball. It's such a big deal being able to play in that way. So I think it's a fair shout. I did think Nonto played well. I think you're right. And I'd have no issues anybody picking either of the fullbacks. But for me, the game that he had playing against his old club so early on in the season, the fact that I think probably he did have that influence on Drew Everest in his game as well. I think I'm just going to edge it for Longstaff, because I thought that we really needed a big performance from him. We needed that Premier League experience that he's got and that we were looking for, and I think we got it. And there were a couple of big challenges early on that kind of set the stall out, and it were like, we're here and we're not going to get pushed over.
Yeah. We needed that reassurance as well as fans that he were up to it, because it's been hard to tell from the last few games. It could have been sort of gone either way with him.
He picked him up for 12 million. He's not 35. He's not. Carl would be looking to put him out to pasture next year.
He would, wouldn't he? He's done. Get rid of him. Get someone else. He's finished.
I think Ayling were 29 and Dallas were 30, and they're like, "No, it's done."
I remember. Done. I'll never forget. It's one of his wisest words ever.
So that for all of the context, the fact that we saw him, very difficult to go on the showing so far, given how those games have gone. But I thought we needed him last night, and he stood up and we counted. And for that reason, and the fact that I thought he just all round played well, I think I would go Longstaff.
That's fair. It's nice to be able to have a discussion over who gets the man of the match. It's nice that there are enough players putting decent performances. Do you know what I mean? It's reassuring. It's really reassuring. It's meant a lot to me, like, for how I feel optimistically and stuff towards what the next few games are going to look like, because we're going to be playing opponents where we should have a chance to take something.
Yeah.
Had we gone into that after losing again, it just would have been horrendous. It would have been so much pressure to get something in the next game. And you don't
Big
want
time.
those levels of pressure this early in the season.
And
You
2
want the
away
players
games
to
next
grow
as
into
well.
this. Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. And James B just makes the point, shame no attackers in the conversation man of match. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we kind of did mention Nonto, but
Yeah.
you know, it's a difficult one. You know, when there's no goal scored in the game, it's difficult to give it to an attacker.
It is.
But yeah, no, I think just all round there were some real big performances, and that's exactly what we needed.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
The
go on.
go on.
No. I was just going to say, if you've got anything else to say, I've got one thing before we close.
Okay.
But
No worries.
go for it.
The ratings on FOTMob, they've actually got Perry as our highest rated player at 7.7. They give Mecha 6.2, Nonto 6.4. I'm wondering if they've marked him down because he got a booking, which some sites do.
Right, yeah, sometimes, yeah.
James got a 6.6. They gave Stack a 7.4, Groove a 7.2, Longstaff 7.4, and then they gave Bogle 7.5, Rodon 7.0, Strike 6.8, and Goodmanson 7.4. And they gave Man of the Match to Pope with 7.9.
Wow. I mean, that says a story. The
It
fact
does.
that their keeper's the highest rated.
It does. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Green shoots, man. Green shoots.
Yeah. No, good. Okay, just one last thing from us then. So we have spoken a few times in the past, well, a lot in the past. I've still got my band on from when we did the Muriel walk and you know, and they do the Gary Speed events and so on. But just Andy's Man Club call out again. So if you're going through a storm or have recently been through one and you're a man over 18, perhaps Andy's Man Club Leeds may be able to help you. With venues in Kirkstall, Pudsey, Central Leeds, Beeston, Seacroft and Morley, open from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Monday barring bank holidays. They also run weekly and monthly social events with the aim to get men talking and to smash the stigma around men's mental health. Details of the venues and everything they're doing is at Andy's Man Club Leeds Facebook, so give them a follow and help spread the word.
Wise words.
Yeah, and on that note, so we will call it there, and I'll give you one last opportunity to say anything that comes to mind. Go.
Boulder Dash.
Okay, fine. I was just about to click end stream, but actually I've not configured an outro video yet, so I actually need to play.
Boulder Dash.
Yeah, I got that all wrong, didn't I? That was rubbish. Sorry, all.